read from it, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. For my nonfiction writing, I'm a regular contributor to Psych Central, which is a mental health website, and I write all about what I know, stress and anxiety. So if you need any help with that, check that out. And this debut novel, as most of you probably already know in this room, debut novels oftentimes, even though they're fiction, hold a lot of the heart and soul of an author because it's their first book. This is going to be, I'm just going to read one short section, and this is my main character, Sailor, when she reconnects with her childhood friend who has since become homeless. Now, in real life, I did have a childhood friend who became homeless, and I thought about him a lot as I was writing this book. And I pictured him living under a pier, and I talked to a mutual friend who said that he had indeed been living under the Santa Monica pier. I never did find him, but this is the imagination of this character, Sailor, finding him. And throughout the story, he helps her with her anxiety and depression. So this is, again, it's just a short excerpt. She stared at the pier's underside. It smelled of dank seaweed and the tar-like odor of creosote oozing from wood. Her fingers tightened around her keys and she ventured into the shadows. Except for the intermittent lull of a lethargic tide, there remained a stagnant kind of stillness that reminded Sailor of the underworld air of a cave. The mixture of apprehension and quiet made her shiver. Yet she didn't feel as fearful as she knew she should. She didn't feel as fearful as she had in the bookstore, or when irrational thoughts kept her from sleep while cocooned in the safety of her bed. What the hell was wrong with her? She should leave right now, get home, and make an appointment with a therapist. Yet her feet remained fixed in the sand. It didn't feel right to give up now. She half turned, trying to decide if it was braver to continue or go back. But something caught her eye. Did she see part of an elbow? It appeared for a split second behind the wood piling just a couple of paces ahead. Mesmerized now by a rivulet of cigarette smoke drifting from the same direction, she froze. For a moment, she forgot why she was there. She shook her head, telling herself that this was crazy, but continued toward whoever was there. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it inside her head. He sat against the pilings, staring straight ahead. He looked like Billy, but then he didn't. His skin was dark as earth. His matted hair reminded her of an abandoned dog. Stony-faced, he didn't even register that she was there. In the shaded quiet, Sailor paused, thinking how much coarser his features were than she might have ever imagined on her grown-up Billy. When she took a step forward, he flinched, finally noticing her. Then recognition flashed in his eyes. Not saying a word, he stuffed a cigarette in the sand. Sailor swallowed. Maybe I'm just imagining it could be him. But his eyes were the same startling green. Billy? He hesitated for so long she wasn't sure that he had heard her. But then a hoarse whisper came out. Yes, you know me. No, really? Are you Billy Underwood? I know who you are, Billy, he said. You're my old friend Sailor. Now her heart felt like it had stopped beating. It is you. He motioned for her to sit. She kneeled on the sand next to him, but the stench of urine and mildew made her turn her head. She caught a quick intake of air that didn't reek of devastation. Not sure what to say, she turned her attention back on Billy. With unfocused eyes, he rocked back and forth, seemingly forgetting that she was there. She knew she should feel real caution, but somehow the old childhood trust pushed away any trepidation around this dazed man. Finally, his body calmed down, and he clasped his hands around his knees, turning his gaze toward the ocean. "Billy, I've missed you." It was the first thing she could think of to try and break into wherever his mind had gone. He turned to face her in an unnaturally slow, mechanical way, his eyes glossy, creating an improbable green in his coffee brown face. "I missed you too." His voice sounded unused and rusty. "Have you," Sailor scratched her neck, "have you been on your own for long?" "Time is not what you think it is." Back and forth he shook his head, a scowl on his face. "Oh," Sailor said, not knowing how she should respond. Billy was definitely suffering from severe mental illness, yet she wasn't afraid. She thought about the warmth of the day saturating the planks that appear over their heads and turned to him. "Let's walk out in the sun." "Out there?" Billy said, a bewildered look in his eyes. "Yes," Sailor answered, "out there." She got up and held out her hand. "I like it better at night," he said, but then his fingers, the texture of rough stone, tentatively grasped her palm. They crossed into the sunny day, and he ducked his head, keeping it bowed while they walked in silence. They continued on. Sailor thought about the strangeness of time and how all those years ago she would have never envisioned that she and Billy would be these middle-aged tragedies, an unbalanced homeless man and an anxious woman, too afraid to trust in happiness. If you're interested, it is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other online outlets. I like the drag racing out there. I'm currently revising my second novel, so I'm hoping, I've been revising that for years now, so I'm hoping to get that out there soon, so I can read from there soon. And you know, if you want to find me too, you can look up my website, tracyshawn.com, and you can contact me on my contact page. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. Thank you. So
Thanks.